What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm able to bring you a profile, a side deck, and a combo for post-burst protocol Exosisters. That's right, Exosisters got two brand new cards which really do change the way this deck can play, and it's very, very powerful. You can adapt the deck very easily for Genesis if you want to. What that will give you the ability for is playing 3 Dimension Shifter should you choose to, and then you kind of need to take into account what other point allocations you want to make. I personally do not own 7th Tachyons, which is the main reason why I haven't built it for Genesis, but if you do own 7th Tachyon, then you could very easily do so. Without it, I would highly advise that you max out on the spirits, whereas with this particular version, you actually just open up the door to a lot more non-engine that gives you a little bit more interaction during your opponent's turn. So with all of that out of the way, I'm going to take you through the profile, show you what we've got, explain why we've got it, and at the end of the video, after I've shown you the side deck as well, I'm also going to show you some basic combos for the deck as well, so you have exactly a good starting point of what to do with a deck like this. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so we don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Starting off with the Exosister monsters in the main deck. So we're going to be playing 3 Exosister Martha. So just as I kind of get the zones a little bit there. There we go. Try and keep it tidy for you. So Martha is, in my opinion, and probably more people's opinion, the best main deck Exosister monster. So for those of you unfamiliar with how Exosisters work, if you control no monsters or only Xyz monsters, you get special on this card from the hand. If you do, you special on an Exosister Elise from the deck. You can't special on monsters the turn you activate this effect except Exosisters. And then if a card or cards is moved out of either graveyard, except during damage state, you get to special summon one of your, from the extra deck, an Exosister Xyz, using this face-up card you control as material, and it is treated as an Xyz summon. So the big difference between Martha and the rest of them is the rest of them specifically need your opponent to move them, which is why the brand new card Exosister Betrayal, which we'll talk about a little bit later on because there's some changes to it already, allows you, like, basically makes your opponent move stuff in the graveyard. So Martha will trigger whether you DD Crow your opponent or whether they DD Crow you. Speaking of the named card being Elise, you are going to want to max out on the Elise, and the reason you do that is if you control any Exosister monster, you special on this card from the hand, and then if you control Exosister Stellar, you get to gain 800 life points, which is quite relevant because there's a couple of cards in here that you will pay 800 life points to activate or to do certain things with. Now this is where the other part of the effect comes into play. If your opponent moves a card or cards out of either graveyard except during damage step, you get to special on from the extra deck an Exosister Xyz monster using this face-up card you control as material, and it's treated as an Xyz summon. Going to the other one that is listed on it being Stellar, is during the main phase you get to special on an Exosister monster from the hand, and then if you control Elise, you get to gain 800 life points. The exact same as if your opponent moves a card in either graveyard, you're then able to then turn this into an Xyz. We then have Sophia and Irene as the last two. So if you control an Exosister monster, you get to draw a card, but then if you control Irene, you get to gain 800 life points. If your opponent moves a card in either graveyard, again, special on that an Xyz. And then the Irene is you get to place an Exosister card on from the hand to the bottom of the deck, draw a card, and if you control Sophia, you gain 800 life points. So there's a lot of swings and roundabouts on this one. The reason that you don't really need to max too much out on the Stellar is that with the Spirit cards, we've kind of gone past the point of needing to rely on Stellar to be a starter. It's more one of them ones where Martha gets you to Elise, and if you've already got access to Stellar, you can normal summon down Stellar, which will give you access to another one. This would be the only one you'd probably consider playing a 2, and if anything, you might want to cut an Irene, but honestly, I'm quite happy with this ratio lineup. Then the brand new spell card, 3 Exosister Betrayal. This card's crazy good. So, when this card is activated, you add 2 Exosister monsters from the deck to the hand and then discard 1 card. You get to target 1 face-up monster you control, and immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon an Exosister monster that mentions that monster, and that is obviously an activated effect. So even if you've already used your normal summon, you trigger this effect, you get to go, cool, normal summon, and off you go. If that wasn't enough, if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, even during the damage step. Now, this is very important. On the card, it says you can banish 1. This is actually confirmed as a mistranslation, and if you refer to the database for the Burst Protocol cards, you will see it's been updated to say that your opponent banishes 1 card from the graveyard. So that will then trigger all of your other Exosister monsters rather than just Martha, which is what makes this like 10 times better. So that's one thing you need to remember. If you are playing this deck, you kind of, not being legal to do so, but you kind of want to have like an imaginary Sharpie and just annotate where it's changed. But 100% always refer to the network, the kind of network, I just always refer to that, and that will be the database. There we go, network, database, and that will be where you'll be able to confirm exactly what the text does. Then we play 3 Exosister packs. So the weirdest issue with Exosister packs, right, is it's a quick play, and you're like, yes, I can play around a lot, but it specifically says during the main phase. Pay 800 to add an Exosister card from the deck to the hand, except itself. And if you added a monster by this effect, you get to special summon it if you control an Exosister monster that is mentioned on it from the field or is in the graveyard. So, kind of cool. And then the best thing about the brand new XZs, the Carmel, is we only need to play 1 Vardis and 1 Returnia, because that will pretty much recycle it from no matter where it is unless it gets banished face down. So the Vardis is now going to be even more important, because if you've got Betrayal, like the 2 cards you summon, you can trigger them very easily. So Vardis is you pay 800 life points, choose an Exosister monster from your deck, then take 1 other Exosister monster from the deck as well that is mentioned on it, and special summon both of them. But you shuffle them into the deck during the end phase, and for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck except Exosisters, which is absolutely fine, because the other is you want to trigger this during your opponent's turn, bring out 2, and as long as you trigger in a correct sequence, so if your opponent, for example, was to go activate a card to target, I think like the best example actually is Betrayal. So it would go Chain Link 1 Betrayal, that if a monster is sent to the opponent's graveyard, even during the damage step, your opponent can banish one of them. So it's a trigger effect when it is sent. So it would go Chain Link 1 Betrayal. You would then go Chain Link 2 Vardis, and then, as it resolves, your 2 Exosystem monsters come from the deck to the field. You resolve Betrayal, which banishes the card from the graveyard, and then the 2 Exosister cards on the field will go, hey, time to upgrade, and then you go from there. Returnia is your more aggressive one. So all monsters, if all monsters you control are Exosister monsters, minimum 1, you pay 800 life points, target a card your opponent controls, or in their graveyard and banish it. And then you get to apply the following effects. Immediately after this effect resolves, you XZ summon 1 Exosister XZs using monsters you control. And if you XZ summon this turn, you get to banish 1 card your opponent controls non-target. So the other is that you're going to be able to have stuff like your Michaelis. Your Michaelis will then be able to get you another banish, which is pretty insane. Or you're going to be sitting there on a Magnifica and you're going to be able to push even further forward. It's just crazy. That's it for the Exosister monsters. Now onto the spirits. So you get to play 3 Achiki, Sayori, Hime. So it cannot be special summoned, pretty much the same as all spirits, which is great because your Exosisters don't want you to special summon anything apart from Exosisters. The benefit of this one is that during once per turn during the end phase, if it was normal summon or flip face up, it returns to the hand, like all spirit cards. But then, once per turn, if you control a monster with 800 attack or defense, and this card is in the hand, immediately after this effect resolves, you get to normal summon this card. And if it is normal summoned, you get to add a level 4 light or dark monster with 800 attack or defense from the deck to the hand. Now, the idea is that if you control pretty much any of your Exosisters, you can trigger the effect. The other idea is that you can also, pretty much off of the back of the Hime, get access to, wherever it may be, because you just get to add a light or dark that has 800 attack defense, you get to access any of your Exosisters. So, get direct access to Martha is mental. If you already have access to them, or you think your Martha's going to get ashed, or anything else in between, I don't know, however options you want to consider, but you could also go for an Aritama, or you can go for a Sakitama. So again, spirits, if they're normal summoned, they come back to the hand during the end phase and they can't be special summoned. And then during, if this card was normal summoned or flip face up, you get to return this card to the hand. When this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you get to add a spirit monster from the deck to the hand, except itself, which can give you access to Sakitama. And Sakitama is you get to reveal it in the hand, and then you can immediately after the effect resolves normal summon a spirit monster from the hand. And it is if this card is true, you target spirit monster in your grave and add it to the hand. But the idea is that basically it's just a reveal and summon itself down. So it's a free level 4. Then for the non-engine, like, you get to play a lot of non-engine. So to quickly flip through this, 3 Fulos, pretty standard, 3 Ash Blossoms, 3 DD Crows. I actually have no issue maining this. Now, one card that a lot of people will be like, what you could be maining is Dominus Purge. Completely makes sense. My only issue is I don't know right now how much it's going to conflict with the Camel. Now, I know it's going to conflict with the Camel because dark, you know. But I kind of like the idea of not needing to worry. I want to rely on the Camel a little bit more because the Camel kind of just gives you that defensive option, and I'll explain it once we get to it very shortly. But I just feel that the effects are actually that important for grind games, for starting games, for protection plays and everything else, that I don't want it to be turned off by Purge. 2 Dry Lockbird, true Forbidden Chalice. If you have access to Forbidden Crown, that's where it'd be. 3 Infinite Impermanence, 1 Crossout, and 1 Cool Buy. So That's all of your non-engine. You could play relatively anything you want that doesn't summon a monster, so you don't really want to be playing Bystials because you can't really Bystial during your turn, but you can DD Crow during your turn, and the benefit of that one is, if Martha's on the field, happy days, Martha's going to rank herself up, which is kind of cool. So that's it for the entire main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. So starting off with 2 of the brand new Carmel. So 2 level 4 Exosisters, very specific, which means you can't make this with the spirits, which I completely understand. If it's XE summoned, you get to activate the effect. During the end phase of this turn, you get to set an Exosister spell or trap from the deck, grave, or banishment. When your opponent activates a monster effect or a normal spell or trap card, you get a quick effect to detach all materials from this card, which will be minimum 1 to do so. And if you do, the activated effect becomes add any card from our graveyards back to our hand, which is pretty insane because then it's like, you could technically loop back a Dimension Shifter. You can also loop back Ash Blossoms. You could loop back DD Crows, any of your Exosisters, anything like that. And again, what it does is it turns your opponent's effect to becoming moving a card in our graveyard. So if you have any other Exosister on the field, they go, oh, gee, thanks, and rank up it goes. Then we've got 3 Michaelis. So this is like your go-to Exosister XEs, basically. So cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster special summon from the graveyard. It's generic rank 4 for this particular deck. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control this card that was XE summoned this turn by using an Exosister monster as material, quick effect, you get to target a card your opponent controls or in the graveyard and banish it. You can detach a material from this card to add any Exosister spell or trap from the deck to the hand. So straight away to Betrayal. Let's go. Then we've got 2 Magnifica. This is like the boss monster of the deck. So 2 rank 4 Exosister XEs. It must be XE summoned with the above materials, and it can make a second attack during each battle phase. Once per turn, you get a quick effect to detach a material from this card, banish 1 card non-target your opponent controls. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you get a quick effect to return an XE's monster you own that is attached to this card to the extra deck, and then you get to special summon that monster from your extra deck by using this card as material. So the idea is, if it's got Michaelis as a material, that's how that during your opponent's turn, you're going to go, cool, Magnifica, put this back to the extra deck, and then technically summon it on top of the Magnifica, which is really cool. I've got 2 Caspitels. Now, this is where you could start opening up the door to a Utopic Zexal, I think it's Future, which is the one that came out in 2 sets ago now. I think it's like Duelist Advance. But the idea is that that just requires 2 ranks of the same level. 2 XEs monsters of the same rank. Let me get there eventually. But the idea is, remember, you're going to be locking yourself into XEs, into Exosisters. So you kind of don't want to be putting any non-Exosisters on the field because you're then utilizing your cards and everything else in between. So the only ones that you'd want to put on the field are going to be ones that are game enders, or going to be ones that you feel are going to be more prominent than having the Exosisters on the field. If you don't want to play the cards I'll show you in a second, then you'd open up the space to play an Ultimate Slayer if you wanted to, or even a Metal Tronus. Entirely up to you. I've got the 1 Sophiel. So again, generic rank 4. Oh, I haven't even talked about Caspitel yet. So cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster special from the graveyard. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is XE summoned using an Exosister monster as material, neither player can special from the graveyard for the rest of the turn. Detach a material from this card to add an Exosister monster from the deck to the hand. And the Sophiel can't be destroyed by the activated effects of monster special from the graveyard. If it's XE summoned using an Exosister, neither player can activate card effects in the grave this turn. You detach a material to target a monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. And then the final one is the Jabrain. So this is how you can fulfill your OTK. As again, can't be destroyed by the activated effects of monster special from the graveyard. Only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control this card that's XE this turn using an Exosister as material, quick effect, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn. You can detach material from this card. For the rest of the turn, all XE's monsters you control gain 800 attack. So the idea is that if you've got Magnifica on the field and then your Jabrain will give your Magnifica an extra 800, so it goes up to a 36. This gets to attack twice, and then your Jabrain will be up to a 22, and that's the final bit of damage you need. For the generic XEs, again, completely open up the door to Ultimate Slayers if you want to. Typhoon, Zeus, Baguska, and Exton. Like, just generics. You don't really need to rely on these. I kind of like the idea of playing like pure Exosisters and not even need to worry about these 4 cards, that they can become anything. So yeah, that's it for the entire main deck. Now to show you the side deck. Now, this is a side deck that is basically, I'll explain my choices behind them, but you have complete free will to choose whatever you need to. So to protect us when we're going first, I've gone with 3 Salesman and 3 Iron Thunder. Like, Exosisters are relatively decent at going first anyway. They don't need to worry that much. But the idea is that Iron Thunder just gives you that ability that replaces like a Judgment, or you can use a Strike if you want to. But the idea is that using this means that I don't need to worry about a Book of Eclipse, I don't need to worry about a Book of Moon, I don't need to worry about a Evenly, Dark Ruler, list goes on and on and on. Sales Ban. Sales Ban is literally in here to double down when you go first. You go, right, look at my hand. This hand is going to lose if my opponent Ash Blossoms is my Martha. Or this is going to lose if they draw my... if they draw after the back of the Betrayal or whatever. You just call what you think is going to be an issue. And if you're going second by some chance, you can still call whatever card is on the field, and they have to bait it out. They'll either okay, cool, that card's negated, or I negate this card. And then for going second, which is probably like the weakest side of Exosisters, you can of course pump this down with Chummies if you wanted to. I decided to go with Evenly Matched, comboed off with Dark Ruler No More, and then three Nibirus. Like, these are all over the place at the moment because they kind of like belong in so many different decks right now. It's crazy. But the idea is you've got cards that you're going second with, you've got cards that you're going first with, and you kind of want to prioritize going second a little bit more. You could very easily put in Triple Tactics Thrusts, but to be completely honest with you, if I was considering anything, I might consider taking out one Nibiru, one Evenly, and maybe one Dark Ruler No More, and that could come 3 Perulia, 3 Meows, you name it. It gives you more flexibility. So that's it for the entire main deck, and the extra deck, and the side deck. Now, probably the moment you've really all been waiting for, and that's going to be the combo video for the deck. So some very basic combo starters with stuff like Martha or your Spirits and, you know, everything else in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the board state, I'm going to set out the combos, zoom out the camera, and then show you exactly what you need to get started with this deck. So we'll be back in a second. The baseline combo you're going to want to know. Now, keep it in mind before you go, oh, it involves specifically Martha. Yeah, well, you have direct access to Martha with Exosister packs. You also have direct access through Betrayal as well. So you've got 9 ways to get to this, and it can also be done with the Spirits and Extenders and everything else in between. And you're still also going to have 3 more cards in hand that can help you push this. This is just going to be a baseline to show you exactly what you can do with the new cards, which are crazy. So you're going to start off by using Martha's effect, special summon it down, grab you the Elise, and then you get to overlay both of these straight into the Michaelis. Very straightforward and simple. Detach material from this, grab yourself the Exosister Betrayal. Activate the Betrayal to add 2 Exosister monsters from the deck to the hand, and then discard a card. Going to go for Stella and then the Sophia, and you'll discard that 0.5 card you had in your hand at the start. Now, the best thing about all of this is we haven't even used a normal summon, which is... but that then gives you the ability to resolve this as well, because you get to target a face-up monster you control. Immediately after the effect resolves, normal summon Exosystem monsters have mentioned on it if you wanted to. So if you do have those extenders I mentioned at the start, you're good to rock and roll, and even if you don't, you just go, cool. Normal summon Stella. Stella's effect to summon Sophia. Now, this is probably the last point they can Nibiru you, because keeping in mind you've done Martha, you've done Ellis, and then you've done Stella, Sophia, and Michaelis. They Nibiru you here, you go, a little bit upset. But again, you still have your Spirits to extend. It's not the end all be all. If they fail to Nibiru you here, keep in mind as well, you'll also get the draw for the back of Sophia, so you've replenished the random discard. If they fail to Nibiru you here, this is the last chance, because you're going to overlay both of these and go into the brand new Carmel. In doing so, you'll trigger the Carmel effect that during the end phase, you get to set an Exosister spell or track directly from the deck. So you've got this card here. You've still got the 3 other cards in your hand as well. So pretty healthy. And then as you move to the end phase, if you're worried about Nibiru, if you feel that your opponent completely fluffed it and they had Nibiru the entire time, which, to be honest, I don't think it's the worst thing to leave it as this is, you go, cool, move to the end phase, resolve your Carmel. Now, if you leave Carmel and Michaelis on the field, I would set down your Returnia. I wouldn't bother with the Vardis because, I mean, of course you could Carmel and loot, but it's not really worth it. I would much rather go for the Returnia. And I'll show you exactly why. So during your opponent's turn, if they fluff the Nibiru and you're still protected with it, you're in a good position, pass over to your opponent's turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect or a normal spell or trap card effect, you get a quick effect, detach all materials from this card, and if you do, the activated effect becomes add a card back from the grave to the hand. So you'd go, cool, detach, resolve the effect. You can add back the card you discarded. So like if you discard an Ash, just add it back. If not, you're like, cool, I'll go with Elise because it's just the most consistent extender that can't really be disrupted. Cool, you add that back to the hand. You've now replenished your hand. Great success. Now because you've got the Returnia and all the monsters we control are Exosisters, you get to pay 800 life points, target a card your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it, and then you get to apply one of the following effects. The benefit of this one is immediately after this effect resolves, you can Xyz and Exosister Xyz using monsters you control. Well, we have 2 rank 4 Exosisters, so we get to put both of these together, and we'll now be able to make our Magnifica. Now, there isn't really much of a big difference between like now and earlier. Like if you'd done it differently and made this during your turn, you'd, instead of returning, you can go for the Vardis. Honestly, I think this is a little bit more defensive because now what we've got is we've got Magnifica, and then we've got Magnifica's effect to banish a card, and then we also have the effect to chain and then tag itself out into the Michaelis, and the Michaelis would have been summoned that turn, so then Michaelis gets a banished as well. So the only difference from that one is you don't get to abuse the second effect to the Betrayal, and that's where if you did, you'd have the Vardis, and the Vardis would abuse the heck out of it. But honestly, I quite like this route of play. You still have your full hand, and I've already shown you how much non-engine. We play 18 non-engine, so these could have been Cool Buys, Crossouts, Fuas, a little bit sucky, but is what it is, DD Crows, Ash Blossoms, Infinite Impermanences, Forbidden Chalices, you name it, you've got loads of different options. It's pretty crazy. And that is pretty much it for the entire profile, the entire combo, just everything in between. Now, there are more combos you can make. I would be more than happy to do a test stand video. So if you do want to see a test stand video, just so I can show you the consistency of this deck, get a video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, and I'll be more than happy to dive into it. It is a very, very busy week for, well, busy couple of weeks for content, actually, leading up to, like, post-Burst Protocol. So much that I've already want to update, like Dark Lords for sure. I really want to do Magnets, but I don't have all the pieces. So I'm hoping someone at Locals will have all the pieces and be like, yeah, I'm happy to do it. So yeah, massive shout out to Stuart who hooked me up with the Starlight Carmel. Both a shout out and also like, damn, because I now want to get a second one because I think it'd look amazing. I do like the purple. The biggest issue I have with these Exosister cards is it's a dark, so it stops the purge, but who cares? Like, it's Exosisters. Yeah, so I've got Dark Lords. I really want to do Rockets. I'm missing one card for that one. I want to do Elven Notes. I'm missing a couple of cards for that one. So I'm slowly working my way through it, and this is all after Sneak event weekend. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.